Hello, Canucks fans. Welcome back to another episode of Canucks Conversation, brought to you by Bet365. We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studios. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. My name is Dave Quadrelli. I'm joined by Harman Dial. We've got a lot to get to, as unfortunately, the Vancouver Canucks lost their next two games. We were all excited after that first game against Calgary. But Harm, you wrote something at the Athletics today, and I just want to lead off with that. 7 observations of this team's first 3 games. Now, the one that stood out to me, other than the fact you astutely pointed out that they've played one promising period of hockey over 3 games, and that's not great. The thing you pointed out was puck management. I want to start there. Before we even start dissecting the games and what happened in each game, I just want to start with puck management because it was the first one you mentioned. I think it's the most important one, and I think it's the one that's not being discussed by anyone else.
Yeah, it's plaguing every aspect of the game, both offensively, transition, and defensively. When you look at why they've surrendered 35 plus shots in back-to-back games, a lot of it stems from in all 3 zones, they're managing the puck so poorly. And it's every little detail of it too. Your first touch in the defensive zone, how wingers are receiving passes, even when passes are relatively tape to tape, wingers aren't corralling it properly. Players are shanking passes into teammates' skates. They're making bad decisions, right? As great, and I don't mean to pick on one guy because the whole team has been guilty of this from top to bottom, but a player like Filipino, who we sung his praises through the first game against Calgary, his decision making with the puck has been like sometimes you're just thinking what kind of decision is that? What is he seeing?
Yeah,
exactly. So the IQ aspect hasn't been there from the team. In the Edmonton game, especially, I thought the bottom 4 defense looked a lot like the bottom 4 defense last year, where they couldn't break the puck out properly. It's part of the reason why Derek Forbort was taken out of the lineup, I think, for the St. Louis game. Is I thought he in particular had a tough time against Edmonton's forecheck. And it's even just beyond. You could look at the goals. The turnovers that directly led to goals against. Garland had one in the Edmonton game. Hedl had one in the Edmonton game. Pettersson had one in the offensive zone where he whiffed a pass in the attacking end that led to Snuggerud's opening goal. Tyler Myers had one on the PK. But those turnovers are only the tip of the iceberg. It's been on a near every shift basis. And really, if you can't break the puck out properly, if you can't hold on to pucks, even when you're in the attacking zone, even when they have been able to get set up, it's been a lot of one and done in the offensive zone. A lot of situations where they're missing the net and the puck's rimming around the glass and exiting the zone, or a simple low to high pass is being botched, or defenseman at the point is bobbling the puck, or they're shooting it into shin pads. It's all of these areas are compounding and creating this issue where it's plaguing their zone exits. It's why they have no speed through the neutral zone and look so slow. It's why they're having to dump and chase with no speed as opposed to the preseason where they were actually entering the offensive zone with control. It's why, well, the puck over, you're going to surrender odd man rushes in chances against. It's just crushing them in every facet of the game.
I want to break down each of these games individually, but they're similar. Like they're similar in a lot of different ways. I think one thing that we can say about both games is the goaltenders have been hung out to dry. And Thatcher Demko was otherworldly in Edmonton. He was the he was the lone bright spot in that Edmonton game. And Kevin Lankinen, again, he was really hard on himself post game. Thatcher Demko kept them in that game. Kevin Lankinen made some nice saves, but again, wasn't anything to write home about for Kevin Lankinen in his season debut. Now, again, obviously that loss isn't on Lankinen, but the defensive environment that these guys have been put in is kind of shocking. And you're right, Harm. It is a little bit reminiscent of last year.
Well, this is part of the sort of question mark post Talkett. It was always going to be, can they maintain the defensive level that they showed 2 years ago, or at least be a top 10 defensive team in the NHL? Because we know that this Canucks team isn't going to score a lot of goals. They aren't a high-flying offensive team. Even if certain guys click, once you get the best version of Quinn Hughes, if and when Elias Pettersson ever bounces back, the talent on this roster just isn't high enough in terms of dynamic skill to where you can afford to be an average or worse team defensively. And again, 35 plus shots and back-to-back games. When they have been defending in their own end, they've looked a little scrambly. But again, I think a lot of the defensive environment concerns stem from them not being able to make plays with the puck and not being able to hem opponents in the attacking zone. Look at the Oilers game, for example. I think when we talk about defense, we focus so much on how does a team look structurally in their own end when they don't have the puck? Do they protect the slot? Can they clog east-west passing lanes? Are they in shooting lanes? But defense starts with your ability to actually control possession. And can you get out of your own end? Can you hem the opposition in their own zone for heavy shifts? And the Oilers are a great example of that. We know that in terms of in-zone defending without the puck, the Oilers have never been the best defensive team. But through the regular season, each year, they have had some of the best defensive numbers at 5-on-5 in the NHL. And they limited the Canucks to 0 high danger chances through periods because they never had to defend in the first place. They were so clean with the puck and their forecheck was so effective that they just lived in Vancouver's zone. So that's why you don't give up much defensively. And the opposite has been the issue for the Canucks the last couple of games, where they just can't make plays. And as a result, they're constantly on the back foot. They're constantly chasing the play. That's why they're constantly taking penalties. That's why they haven't been able to draw power plays. It's really hard to play the game when the opposition has possession of the puck 70-75% of the night.
Let's get into it. Let's get into both games. We'll break them both down. This opening segment is brought to you by our friends over at Greta. Now, I have I made a notes list of all the people that I want to shout out from the watch party at Greta. Harmon, you were taking it from all angles, I'll be honest with you, because you unfortunately got sick. And I know this about you. You don't like bail on things and say, "Oh yeah, no, I'm sick." You're not one of those people. And I told that to everybody too. Like you were actually sick. But they were giving it to you for not being at another watch party.
I understand
you missed the last one because you were sick too.
I've said on this podcast before, I get sick like 4 or 5 times a year. And like Friday, I covered this season opener on Thursday. I was at that game. Mm-hmm. I woke up Friday not feeling well. And so I skipped practice that day. I had to cancel on going to one of my friends' birthday parties on Friday night. I had to skip a hike that I planned on Saturday morning. Couldn't make it to the watch party. I had to skip the watch party was one of like 5 or 6 things that I had to bail. I just wasn't feeling very well.
Yeah, man. No, like I said, I believed you. It's the people in the chat that you need to apologize to. You'll be there.
Well, what did you want? Did you want me to get all you guys sick?
No. That's what I said. I was telling people you were actually sick. It's not like you made it up. That's not what happened. And you even sound like you're coming off the tail end of something. So I know you weren't lying, buddy. Don't worry. I got you. But I want to shout out the people that were there. I met Caitlin, Sam, Jessica, Cindy, Elfrin. Of course, I know Elfrin already. AJ, Josh, Ian. His girlfriend's name slipped my mind. This was actually one of the highlights of the night for me. Was Ian introduces himself, and then his girlfriend was like, "Oh yeah," and he listens to the podcast on the communal speaker in our house. So I also listened to the podcast. And that's why I'm so sad I forgot her name, because she was really funny. And then she challenged me to basketball. She's like, "You're always putting out the open challenge on the podcast for basketball." So I played her in basketball, and it was a lot of fun.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won. But that basketball, that's the thing. And you know what? I told her too. Like I did say before, I'm like, "Hey, just so you know, it's going to go for like 2 minutes, 30 seconds." Because I was like taking breaks in between shots because I know how agonizing the basketball machine is, and it goes for a long, long time. So if you burn your arms too early, you're not making those final shots. So yeah, I had experience, but it was a fair, clean match, And the challenge is still out there for anybody who wants to play me. But I've also decided this: one challenge per event. Like, if someone challenged me a second time, I would have lost. Thankfully, no one did. But like, your arms get so tired. Anyways, I'm getting a little bit off track here. But even if we're not there, I wanted to shout this out as well. Those specials that we were talking about, the 333 off, the burger, 333 eyeballs, the beer as well for 333. Those deals are available any Canucks game day, and they have that set up at the back every Canucks game day. So even if we're not there, seriously, make Greta your spot. They've got all those TVs, they've got the sound on, they've got the goal horn going. And then also, if you are wearing any Canucks gear, I think it was gear. He might have said jersey. I think it's gear. If you're wearing any Canucks gear, you don't have to pay cover, and you skip the line at Greta.
Oh, that's sick.
On game days. Yeah, isn't that awesome? So they told me that, and I was like, I think I should be saying this on the podcast. And they were like, yeah, we're going to send out notes soon, but I just remembered that they said that. So
especially for Saturdays. I don't know if you've tried to get into Greta on a Saturday night. Trust me, there's a line in the cover too. So that's a sweet perk.
Yeah. So if it's a game day, you get in, and yeah, it's a good time. All right. So yeah, 50 West Cordova Street is the address. Let the games begin. All right. The games did begin. Saturday night was our first watch party. And you know what? Thank God for Thatcher Demko, because there was something to cheer about, and it was Thatcher Demko in that game. The Canucks lose what looks like a close game to the Edmonton Oilers. It's funny because game one against Calgary looks like, oh, Canucks 5-1 stomped the Flames. No, that game was really, really close, and they were lucky to enter the third period up by a goal. And then obviously they put the hammer down on a tired Flames squad in the third period. But Edmonton was a little different because it looked like a really close game. It was 2-1, and then an empty netter goes in to make it 3-1. But man, I did not like what I saw from the Canucks in that game.
Yeah, I think again it was one of those nights where bottom four defense couldn't move the puck, and again, I don't want to just single out those guys, but Forbert really struggled in that capacity. DPD didn't have his sharpest night. The Pettersson-Myers pair, which I thought was pretty good against Calgary, wasn't quite up to par. And the thing is, you're occasionally going to have nights where you just don't have your fastball offensively. But if you don't have your fastball offensively, what you can't afford to then do is then make critical mistakes on top of that. And that's where, like, for example, Evander Kane in the first period, a pretty bad neutral zone giveaway. The Canucks get hemmed in, and then Forbert has to take a penalty, which immediately puts the Oilers to the power play. Garland had a turnover that led to a goal against. Heedle's turnover was a backbreaker. If you're going to be off, which you will be some nights when you have an 82-game season, your floor has to be high enough that you don't shoot yourselves in the foot. And that, I think, was the frustrating part about the Canucks' performance against the Oilers. Was it wasn't just, all right, we have nothing going offensively. It was, we're giving the Oilers free rein to kind of do whatever they want offensively. And even the penalty kill, which, yeah, it blanked the Oilers' power play. It was a perfect 5 for 5. Really, that was mostly because of Thatcher Demko. The number of show-stopping saves he made, especially the one on Draisaitl at the back door, but just the flurry of chances that he stopped. That Oilers power play could have easily been 2 or 3 for 5 on any other kind of night, given the quality of chances they were getting. It's not as if the Canucks PK was constantly breaking plays up, and the Oilers were consistently having to go back all the way into their own zone, and they were having trouble on entries. No, each power play was a minute and a half, 2 full minutes of sustained pressure, and Demko was really the one to bail them out, and it felt like he was the only one that played to his potential against the Oilers.
Is Evander Kane concerning you at all?
Yes.
Like, people in the chat are very upset with Evander Kane. Maybe it's transitioning too quickly to the St. Louis game, but you brought him up with the Oilers game. Do you have anything else you want to say about the Oilers game? Can we just say, like, they didn't play well? Demko, okay, let's go to St. Louis. Because in that game, Canucks also didn't play great, played better for sure. And St. Louis, like, we're both very high on the Blues this year. Jimmy Snuggerud looks awesome, but that's kind of aside from the point. when it comes to what we saw against the Blues, it's not as simple as, oh, Kane's no good. Like it's not just Evander Kane's fault. Like Elias Pettersson has the bad giveaway in the offensive zone that leads to a Blues goal. There's a really bad line change where like Marcus Pettersson and Arshdeep Bains kind of collided at the bench. It was really, really strange, and it left someone in all alone. And now Lankin had made the save on that one, but then of course they scored immediately after that. So that one again, okay, whatever. A couple mistakes, couple key mistakes. And I haven't said Kane yet. Like Kane's not the issue on those ones, but that goal where Kiefer Sherwood scores the shorthanded goal, you get some momentum, and then Kane dives in when Hughes has to activate from the point. That's just not the right play. And again, like Foote talked about this post game, and I think we have the clip. Can we show the clip of the goal, Jacob, just so people that are on the YouTube show can remind what I'm talking about?
Sorry, you want the Blues goal from?
Yeah.
Yes, I can play that for you.
Yeah, because it's exactly what I'm talking about. Like Hughes activates on the right half wall, goes in, gets a shot off, and then here comes Kane, and then it's a 3-on-1 the other way, and he hustles to get back, which is great. But it's not enough. It's not enough. And like, that was one that stood out to me where it was like, okay, like they finally had some momentum. There's 7 minutes left in the second period, and all of a sudden the Blues are back up by 2.
Yeah, it was a backbreaking moment, and definitely you could argue that I think Quinn maybe could have been quicker to get to the trailer. I think that was Nathan Walker who eventually put that home. But it's not an odd man rush in the first place if Kane doesn't dive in. And as an F3 especially, when you're covering for a defenseman, you just cannot dive into a situation like that. And people will say, oh, well, have the Canucks been playing too aggressively with Adam Foote hockey? There's no system in which the F3 is supposed to dive in that spot. That's just an unfortunate read where Foote was kind of alluding to it as well. You think you've got some momentum, you're pressing a little bit, the crowd's on your side, and Hughes gets a shot off. And I don't mind Hughes attacking downhill in that spot, especially because he got the shot through. If he had hit somebody's,
like he was getting pressured.
If he had hit that into somebody's shin pads and it squirts out right away, then it's okay. Like if you're gonna attack downhill, you at least got to get the shot through. But the shot went through, and had Kane just stayed at home, it wouldn't have been, the sequence wouldn't have started as a clean 2-on-1 with the trailer joining to essentially make it 3 Blues attackers coming up the ice. But this is also like, this is part of the Evander Kane experience. This is why when the trade happened, you'll remember you were sort of saying, and a lot of people understandably were saying, oh, this is a low risk acquisition because he didn't really give up a lot. Only 1 year left of his contract. He's in a contract year. And while you could certainly see the upside, I always thought there was more risk to the addition because Kane is 2 completely different players when he's on versus when he's off. And when he's off, there is no high floor to his game. When he's off, he is going to hurt your team. He is going to turn pucks over. He is going to take bad penalties like he did the one in the offensive zone in the Edmonton game. He is going to be well below average defensively. It's the difference between Evander Kane and Jake DeBrusk, right? Yeah. So DeBrusk has been way too quiet through 3 games. We can all agree on that. He needs to be a lot better. He needs to be more impactful on the forecheck. He needs to be creating more chances offensively. But the difference is that even when DeBrusk goes quiet or invisible for long stretches, he at least isn't going to hurt you defensively. He's not a liability in any sense. Whereas with Kane, even in the third period, his puck decisions and plays were kind of killing possessions. We saw him demoted to the second unit during the Canucks' lone power play opportunity in the third period. And when that second unit did come on, he had 2 turnovers, one trying to go east-west high in the zone that didn't work. I think the Canucks still found a way to recover and keep possession. But then when he came out of the left corner with possession, he tried to bulldoze his way through the net, turned it over, and the puck got cleared. And even with about 8 minutes left, the Canucks had one of their few shifts that game where they actually seemed to have some possession. Valuable shift where Quinn Hughes is on the ice as well. You're thinking, all right, this might be an opportunity to press and push. And Kane takes a sharp angle shot that just rims around the glass and exits the zone, and it kills that line's possession. So yeah, he's had a rough first impression. I'm not going to hit the panic button because, again, this is part of, like, this was always baked into the Evander Kane acquisition, is when he's not feeling it, this is what you get. What you're hoping for is that he's able to flip the switch pretty soon, because when he does flip the switch, that's when it's, all right, this guy is a legit top 6 caliber scorer. He's a one-of-a-kind presence physically, which I did like his physicality against the Oilers. And you see him so engaged and disruptive. But that was always it was always baked into acquiring Evander Kane, is he's a volatile, inconsistent player, and there's a massive discrepancy between when he's at his best and when he's not at his best. And so far, he has not been at his best, and it's hurt the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy who hasn't been at his best. Actually, before we get to Elias Pettersson, I kind of hinted that's who we're going to talk about. Quinn Hughes. I described it as Quinn Hughes looks ordinary with flashes of Quinn Hughes. That's how it looks.
That's a really good way of putting it.
He's looked ordinary. And man, I feel
yes.
for you, because there might be some Avs fans being like, all right, let's see what's going on with Quinn Hughes. I'm joking. We're not rehashing this. But Quinn Hughes, seriously, like, he has looked pretty ordinary. And I'm really trying to frame this as not a knock on Quinn, because, like, okay, here's the thing. Petey's looked ordinary, but he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt of, okay, you're gonna obviously, like, by they don't play tomorrow, but by Thursday, this could not be a talking, well, by Friday, I guess, this could not be a talking point anymore, that Quinn just turns it on and it's like, okay, like, yeah, it's not even Quinn Hughes was back. It's just, okay, now some results are falling, because he's shown some flashes, but he just hasn't tilted the ice the way that we're used to seeing with Quinn Hughes.
Absolutely. I think in the Oilers game, he was good. I actually thought he was arguably their best non-Demko player. The splits are actually hilarious if you go back and look at that Edmonton game, where despite the Canucks getting thoroughly dominated and really getting their teeth kicked in, Quinn Hughes still walked out of that game with having controlled like 67% of expected goals at 5-on-5. And basically it was, when Quinn Hughes is on the ice, the Canucks are in the offensive zone. And when he's not, they basically lived in their own end for the entire game. However, even in that Edmonton game, what I noticed was, all right, you're in the offensive zone and you're doing a great job of engineering zone exits and making sure that the team can transition up the ice, which is huge because the team was really struggling in that facet. But once they got in the attacking end, a couple of things have stood out. First, it seems like it's been difficult for him to find slot lanes to drive into the slot where he can produce scoring chances for himself in the high slot and really get his shot off. Last year, it felt automatic for him, where he could dance at the blue line and find a way to put himself in a dangerous shooting position, whereas it's been harder for him to do that. And then outside of that, because the Canucks have, I think when Hughes has been on the ice, had a tough time getting open in and around the slot area, even when he is sort of wheeling it up and down the zone, he hasn't had east-west backdoor passing options. And so a lot of times it's, all right, Quinn Hughes makes one cool move at the blue line and he's darting down the left half wall now, but he's trying to find a pass into the slot. There isn't really an opportunity there. He doesn't have a shooting lane. So it's just a hope pass into the middle that isn't actually connecting to anybody.
Yeah.
And so in that Edmonton game, it was the zone time is there, but tough time actually converting that into meaningful scoring chances. And then last night he was just off, bobbling pucks. I think you saw a player that was trying to do too much, a player that almost looked at the lack of offensive drivers on the team and went, well, geez, I got to do this all by myself. And he is capable of doing that, as we saw last year. But sometimes when you're not at your 110% crispness and sharpness, then when you're playing hero ball, it's just not going to work. And that's where I feel for Quinn a little bit, because man, in that St. Louis game and even in that Oilers game, nobody has been going offensively. So I understand why he feels like every shift, I got to beat 3 guys up the ice and I got to do it all by myself. But in that Blues game, we saw that lead to some troubles, and he was on the ice for a couple of goals against. But I actually think you can spin this as a positive, because for all the concerns that are surrounding the Canucks right now, that's the one I'm least worried about. And Quinn Hughes returning to the form that he showed last year, and really the year before that, isn't going to solve all the club's problems, but it is going to solve some of them for sure.
Yep. Let's talk about Elias Pettersson as we introduce a new segment brought to you by our friends at Uber Eats. We're going to call this the stat of the day. All right. Presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day deals to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Check out Uber Eats. So, stat of the day. It's going to be a segment where hashtag crave the stats. Do I have to say the hashtag, Jacob?
Yeah, I think they want you to say the hashtag crave the stats. Stat of the day.
This is going to be a Harmon read. So this segment is going to be something where Harmon dives into an advanced stat. And we were talking before the show of like, oh, what should we do today? I told you, I don't think you need to pull up a stat today, Harm. I don't think you need to pull up any sort of advanced stats. I don't think you need to go to natural stat trick, because Elias Pettersson has 3 shots through 3 games. It's not good enough. That's really, really not good enough.
Yeah, only one of them at 5-5 as well. I think the key as well is that stat isn't representative of, oh, he needs to shoot the puck more, he needs to be more selfish. That stat, I think, is representative more of that line just hasn't really had much time and space to make plays in the offense. So Pettersson hasn't put himself in positions where he has time and space to have a shooting lane where it does make sense to shoot the puck. It's not a problem of him being too shy or too hesitant the way he was at some points last year. This line needs to play faster, be better on puck retrievals, so that they have sustained offensive pressure, so that's how you manufacture shots. Not only individually, but as a trio. I think the one point we have to get out of the way before we discuss some of the areas he needs to improve is, yes, we know he's been good defensively still for the most part through 3 games. Yeah, the fancy stats look good. The Canucks are up 2-1 in terms of 5-5 goals during Pettersson's shifts this season. We know he's not hurting them defensively outside of the one turnover he had last night, but this team is depending on him to not be a defensively responsible 2C. This team is depending on him to be the game breaker offensively, because if he's not doing it, this team otherwise doesn't have any first line caliber play drivers, and he just hasn't had enough dynamic offensive flashes. I'll ask you this: through 3 games, has there been one shift where Pettersson has the puck, starts maybe in the defensive zone or the neutral zone, winds up, and you're on the edge of your seat anticipating something dangerous happening? Don't get me wrong. He's occasionally set up some chances, right? He picked off that Binnington pass to set up Besser in the slot. He had one shift early in the 3rd period where he set Kane up for a pretty good chance, but there hasn't been that buildup of, this guy looks dynamic, you're on the edge of your seat thinking that he's going to take the shift over. And that's really worrying to me. I still don't think he has his quickness back, especially in small areas. And because he can't dangle or beat guys one-on-one, he can't finesse his way to the inside either. So that's, I think, the biggest issue with Pettersson, even going back to the last year and a half, is, well, why aren't you producing scoring chances? Why aren't you threatening offensively? Well, you've been stuck on the perimeter for long stretches. Well, why are you stuck on the perimeter? Well, you don't have the separation speed to the neutral zone to drive dangerous offensive zone entries the way I think you did 2 years ago when you were at your peak. And number two, he, like, 2-3 years ago, he'd be able to take guys on one-on-one and use deception and deeks and dangle guys, just finesse his way to the inside. Well, he doesn't have the raw speed, nor does he have the finesse right now. So it's no wonder that he doesn't have the puck in dangerous offensive positions right now.
It's funny you bring up speed. We've got a super chat. First one of the day. This is from Demko's Knee Bones. He said, there was the Russian rocket, now the Swedish snail. Again, that is Demko's Knee Bones who's saying that, not me, just to be ultra clear. But we do appreciate the donation to the BC Mental Health Foundation, even if it's some frustration with Elias Pettersson. If you want to make sure your question or comment gets in the show, hit us with a super chat. Proceeds from our super chat go to the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. Now, while I won't be calling Elias Pettersson the Swedish snail, you're right, Harm. The separation from his game isn't there right now. And you asked, has there been any moments where I've been like, oh, here comes Pettersson? No, there's never been that buildup this year and last year. But there's been a couple moments where he like is ready to deke and cuts to the middle. I like some of the angle changes. But what are we talking about? like what are we talking about?
Sometimes the conversation around, like, it feels like little things Louis Eriksson all over again, where it's,
yes,
okay, you're good defensively. Yes.
Yep.
Great.
And that's the thing, Harm. This isn't, there's no one in the chat saying this right now, but I saw people in the Canucks Army comment section, people saying, oh, it's 3 games. It's 3 games. Big picture, when we're talking about the whole team, like, that's fine. And I do want to kind of give the opposite, the more positive take in a second here. But when it comes to Elias Pettersson, it's not 3 games. Like, let's be honest, it's a year and a half, man. It's a year and a half of this.
Absolutely. And I do like that the coaching staff is turned to give him different wingers, because when Pettersson, DeBrusk, and Besser have played together as a trio, that line has just looked so slow. They don't retrieve enough pucks on the forecheck. Sometimes it feels like that line is just doing cardio. And this is going back to last year. This isn't a through three games assessment. I brought this up in training camp and preseason when we talked about that line as a potential trio. Is they don't win pucks back on the forecheck. They're just kind of going for a skate sometimes. And I like the idea of Pettersson with Garland. Those guys should be able to build some chemistry, I would hope, because of Garland's tenacity, the dog, right? That's what that line, Pettersson, Besser, DeBrusk as a trio, has had 0 dog in them. And that's where it's unfortunate that Nils Höglander isn't healthy. Otherwise, the first thing I would have said is bump Nils Höglander up to play with Elias Pettersson.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he needs on his line, is just an energizer bunny.
Höglander Garland would be fantastic.
That's exactly what that top line could use right now. But at least having Garland there, make sure you have one play driver who can transport pucks up the ice. And yeah, it's a little bit disappointing that Pettersson can't just do it all by himself the way he would in the past when he was playing with Anthony Beauvillier or Alex Chason. Yeah, but like Jim Rutherford said too, it's probably not going to flip a switch and just immediately go from playing at a 50-ish point pace to now I'm back to being a 100-point guy. It probably is going to be a gradual buildup if he ever does reach that point again. And we'll see. Hopefully Garland can be a spark on that line.
Yeah, so Hedl and Pettersson basically switched spots about halfway through last night's game. Today at practice, it was the same lines that they started the game with. So Petey still with Besser and DeBrusk, but Adam Foote hinted that there could be some changes coming. You can read more, CanucksArmy.com, scenes from morning skate. Yeah, chat has a lot of different opinions on Elias Pettersson. We'll get to anyone else in a second, but I said I would get to the positives, because this is one thing I found interesting, and I wrote about it today. And I was at the game last night, and I asked Adam Foote a couple questions, but Adam Foote's very, I don't want to say positive, like he's not cheerleading, right? Like he knows it's not a great, it hasn't been great, but he has made the point of saying, like, we're right there. Like, we're right in it. We're right in it. Couple bounces go your way. You're you're the winner of this game. Hell, even in Edmonton, when they were grossly outplayed up front, their goaltender, who I remind everybody is part of the team, kept them in that game and gave them a chance to come back. So again, I'm trying to give the other side of this because we've said a lot of negatives, and I'm of the opinion the sky's not falling right now. And basically what Foote was talking about, and this was actually in response to my question. I asked him about defending the rush. Now, Foote disagreed with me a bit. I thought they weren't great at defending the rush yesterday, and I basically said as much. I said, where did your team need to be better? Because he talked about how important it was to defend the rush against the Blues, a good rush team, in the morning. And he said, well, I actually thought we defended it pretty well. But actually, Jacob, do we have the answer to this question? I think we do. Because we should just play it rather than me just try to remember what he said.
Yes. And sorry, I'm working on some other stuff in the background. Which Foote quote did you want?
Foote
defending the rush.
Yeah, defending the rush.
No, we don't have that one.
Okay, hold on. I wrote it down. Just a sec. Jacob's laying down some parlays right now in the back, I guess.
No. I'm dealing with work stuff in the back here, trying to get a few.
Our chat's a little wiry today.
Yes, and that too. Moderating some of the chats, especially on non-YouTube platforms, can sometimes be a little time consuming.
Okay, so excuse me. This was the quote, and he focused on the 4-2 goal, the one we talked about being a bit backbreaking, right, when it was 3-2, right? And he goes, they hit the late guy. I thought maybe we could have been there with them. Who knows? That would be Kane. I just felt we pressed a little bit too much. We were diving in. You get so excited when you get it 3-2. You feel the energy of the crowd. We got this. We were humming, and maybe we're over trying at that moment, going all in. Then they get a bounce and go the other way and make it 4-2. It's a little bit deflating, but we'll learn from that. This is the part I'm focusing on. We'll learn from when there's 7 minutes left in the second period. There's lots of hockey left, and we'll learn from that. He said we'll learn from that 3 times, okay? It's early in the season. We'll just know that we've got to make a little bit better reads on those ones and not force it too much. Now, I wrote a column today about how the Canucks stars need to be better. And another thing Foote said last night was like, we're not going to overanalyze the star players right now. Yeah, they want the power play better, but we're not going to get into that. And he's not getting into it. So I'll point this out. That is absolutely the strategy that Adam Foote should be taking right now. Is nobody's panicking. Everything's fine. Even if it doesn't look fine through 2 games, he is absolutely taking the right approach. Because we talked so much about how great the vibes were heading into those years. If you're the head coach, if you're a first-year head coach, and you know how fragile this team is after what happened last year, you have to have your players back. You have to be talking the way that Adam Foote is. So I wanted to make it absolutely clear. I think Adam Foote is absolutely doing the right thing by coming out and saying what he's saying. And again, they are trying to, again, he said we'll learn 4 times, 3 times, whatever it was. They are trying to learn when to go and when not to go. They're trying to play more aggressive. You're going to make mistakes sometimes when that happens. I have no problem with Adam Foote through these games. I'll say that.
I really like this tone coming out of that post-game press conference. Really calm, really measured, not throwing anybody under the bus, but also not like he took accountability for the team needing to be better, but in a really constructive way where he towed the line really well of pointing out areas that they needed to improve, but he didn't throw individuals under the bus, and it just sounded like a head coach that is still very much in control of this group. I was impressed with his tone, and I think if fans heard that in the immediate aftermath of the game, I think a decent chunk of them anyway would have felt a little bit better about not the performance itself, but the outlook moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say though,
yeah, go on.
I think so. People are kind of having this debate right now of it's only been 3 games, and that is 100% true. But you're also balancing that with the fact that this team doesn't have much margin for error, and especially because this team is about to go on the road. And when you look at the next 3 games that they have, you're facing an elite Dallas Stars team on Thursday. You're getting Chicago on Friday, and the Blackhawks, we know, are a bottom tier team in this league, but the Blackhawks are going to be rested and the Canucks are going to be playing on the second leg of a back-to-back. And even when that game ends in Dallas, it's Dallas to Chicago isn't just a 30-minute plane ride. It's 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. You're going to get into Chicago pretty late. And you're going to be a tired team against the Blackhawks. Plus, you're not going to get Demko both nights. And then after that, you have a matinee game against the Capitals, who obviously were the best regular season team in the Eastern Conference last year. So the next 3 games, it's a good thing that they have 2 days off. They had an opportunity to practice and hopefully fine-tune some systems things. But there is no margin for error. This team can't afford to dig itself in an early hole, and the next 3 games are really tough. But what I will say is this isn't the first time that this group has had a gut check moment. I think the first 3 games of this road trip are going to be a gut check moment. But even when we go back to that 2023-24 season where they won the division, people might have forgotten by now, but that group also had a similar gut check moment through the first few games of the season where, all right, they had the 8-1 home opener against Edmonton where they absolutely dominated the Oilers. Canucks also had a blowout win against Calgary, so similar kind of thing, even though the Edmonton one was more decisive. But then they went on the road the next game, and I was on that on the start of that road trip. They beat the Oilers 4-3, but they were really lucky. Casey DeSmith basically stole that game. They played very poorly. It was pretty similar to the road Oilers game from this past Saturday, where they just got dominated, and they were fortunate that the goaltending single-handedly won them that game. And then they got shut out in Philly 2-0 on the road. I think around this time, Rick Tocchet was bag skating them as well already. And then they dropped a 4-3 game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they started 2-2, and you're thinking, other than the home opener, have they played a consistent 60 minutes? Not at all. In fact, if anything, the process is slipping and getting worse. And we were worried about how's the rest of this road trip gonna pan out, because they had the Florida Panthers up next. And that's the moment where they won 8 of their next 9 and turned things around. But they had a bit of a shaky first few games as well, where after winning the first one, they didn't look very good, and it could have gotten ugly pretty quick, but they were able to steady the ship. This is going to be a similar gut check moment for this team. And look, I'm a lot less confident that they're going to rattle off 8 of 9 wins. But it is important to remember that, for as concerned as we rightfully should be about the team's play, gut check moments don't always end in disaster.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, like, I hope it's clear that I'm not coming out here and, I said earlier, the sky is not falling yet. It's not. Yeah. And you wouldn't know that by looking at our chat, but we've got a few super chats that I'll read. This one was from Spatzilli in the chat for $6.99 to the BC Mental Health Foundation. He said, like our D last year, our forward group has no hope of keeping the ship afloat. It's 100% a lost year unless the trades come soon. I disagree. I don't think this is one you trade yourself out of. Just in case, I don't think you can trade yourself out of it. Now, I know there's going to be some interesting conversations about the Buffalo Sabres, who could be very early sellers in the year. What does it cost to go get Alex Tuck? But I don't think you can trade yourself out of this. I don't.
This team isn't one piece away.
Yeah.
Which is similar to what we were saying about the team last year when it came to upgrading the roster and getting things back on track. They're multiple high-end pieces away from being one of the top teams in the league. Now, could the right piece, if you could land your dream centerman, would that solidify things to the point where you're a playoff team? Okay,
yeah,
sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that player isn't going to be available right now. And if you tell me that you want to trade an arm and a leg for Alex Tuck, I would say, sure, that's going to help your forward group a lot because he's a really good player. But that's not going to automatically fix single-handedly fix your top six. It's not, there is no silver bullet
No.
to solving things. This has to come within internally among the current group.
This one came from Soggy Bill from New Zealand. It's a $10 super chat. He said, with Coots being sent down, that was the other news today, Braden Coots sent back to the WHL. Does that mean either Bluger could be ready to return or they're working on acquiring a center? The team has really missed Teddy's steadying presence. Love from Auckland. Thank you. Appreciate that, Soggy Bill. Appreciate that super chat. Okay, Max Sasson has been recalled as the Canucks sent down Braden Coots. He will be going on this 5-game road trip with the team. Did you ever think we'd read the words, this team is missing Teddy Bluger?
It's funny because it hasn't even necessarily been on the PK, which is over 90%.
Exactly.
I mean, they just need a body in the lineup. I don't think Bluger versus Sasson versus even a Nils Lamont, I don't think it makes a big difference. This team just needs a fill-in.
Sasson over Coots, I think, is a good move.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Coots.
Yeah.
I thought he had a solid debut against Calgary, but the last 2 games, you saw him not making any loud, obvious mistakes, but just, all right, he's 18 years old and he's overwhelmed right now.
And it's like Foote said. Foote said it today. We liked what he did in his games. And Foote was even asked about Coots last night and said, like, oh, I thought he was good. I didn't think he was good, but Foote said he thought he was good. Really taking that good cop thing. Really taking it and riding with it. But Foote said today, like, this is just what we think is best for his development, and it's hard to disagree.
For sure. And in that Oilers game with Coots on the ice, the Canucks had less than 10% of expected goals. That line was just defending the entire night, and same thing against St. Louis. I think the shot attempts were 23-3 in favor of the Blues when Coots is on the ice, and you're hoping that a little bit more experience on that line can help Jonathan Lecker-Mackey, who has been really quiet the last couple of games. And really, from a play driving perspective, that line through 3 games as a whole just has not really manufactured any offense.
That's a crazy line that should never have been together. Like, Drew O'Connor on that line as kind of the punchline is crazy, because Drew O'Connor's got his own stuff to worry about, and he's there with 2 rookies. I don't know, man. I did not like that line at all. And they like, I wrote it in this reaction last night, like, they were unplayable for a good stretch of that game last night.
Yeah, and again, it's not Coots' fault, but it also, he didn't have a single shot attempt through 3 games. So it's just it's clear the level of play is a little bit too high for him right now, and it's a remarkable achievement that he made the team out of camp. He shocked everybody, and now, hey, you picked up some valuable experience. Go back to junior, go torch that league offensively, and we'll see you in camp next year. And perhaps that's when you're ready to take the step, or if you need a little bit more development time, then you'll have the American League as an option when you're 19.
All right, this is another super chat. They've been coming in today. This is from Canucks 2017, or I guess Canucks 2017, I could have said. With a $5 super chat, said the top forwards got to play more. EP40 is 172nd amongst all forwards in average time on ice. Garland is the Canucks leader at 97th. They don't have the talent to roll lines. What say you to this?
I get it, but they also don't have the talent to say that you have a first line, and that, like, the point is, this team doesn't really have a first line right now. They just have a bunch of second, third, fourth line players throughout the lineup. And Pettersson, he's averaged 15-58 through 3 games. I think that's a little low. I'd like to at least see him closer to 17 to 18 minutes. But I'll be honest, if you fed him 2 extra minutes per game, does the team's performance or does Pettersson's individual output really change a whole lot? I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know that a whole lot changes. And I get it. If you're arguing, I want to see Pettersson get more ice time, I'll hear it. But I've seen some people say, oh, this is outrageous. Adam Foote is in over his head. What is he doing? People talking about it as if it's a war crime that Pettersson's been playing 16 minutes a night. And it's like, you also got to earn your ice time to some extent.
That's what I was just about to say. No notes, Harm. No notes. Let's get to anyone else, which we should have done a while ago, but the super chats kept coming in. So anyone else is a presentation of Pacific Toyota dealers. And the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, a no-compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. Drive up to 72 kilometers on the battery alone, seamlessly transition from electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of 962 kilometers. There's no sacrifices when it comes to horsepower style with its sleek, low, and wide exterior and sophisticated interior. It's loaded with tech that's actually easy to use. Plus, you can plug in to recharge at home or at one of the over 2,000 public charging stations in BC alone. And now you can lease a 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $99 weekly at 3.49 APR for 60 months with $3,800 down. And it includes a $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. People want us to talk about Rick Tocchet, which I don't really want to do, but we'll do it. A couple things. Tocchet went on Spittin' Chicklets and was talking about the media environment in Vancouver. 20 to 25 reporters every day. Nobody travels on the road. We've already established this. And I'll tell you, I was there last night. We all, and I'll just say all, I'm not going to name names or anything. We all got a hilarious laugh out of counting. Like I turned around and counted how many media members were there because that got brought up. So in the media room, I was like 2, 4, 6, 8. I was like, oh, we're missing about 15 people today. So anyways, and then also I got a kick out of, I survived Canucks Twitter. I can survive anything. Yeah, I don't know if I would call it surviving. But anyways, I don't know. I was wrong about Rick Tocchet. I was. And I texted you that too. I was wrong about him. I gave him way too much credit while he was here.
Well, I haven't liked what he's done with Mitch
that...
Kov in Philly at all, but we'll see what happens to the Canucks under Adam Foote this year. Because let's see how they perform defensively. Is the bottom if the bottom really falls out for this team, and if this team through 9 periods has only had one good period offensively.
Yep.
And Rick Tocchet a lot of people were pointing to him as it's his fault that this team doesn't manufacture any offense. And while I don't think he was blameless in that, the argument that I was really making last year was I think this is a skill issue, not a coaching issue primarily.
Sure.
And that if you open things up, sure, you might create a little bit more, but you're also going to give up that much more. I still think that holds true today. And look, if the Canucks become a really dynamic offensive team and make the playoffs this year, yeah, 100%. I will put my hands up and say I was wrong. But what about the Canucks offensive play through 3 games has given you any confidence that Rick Tocchet was holding this team back offensively?
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Don't get me wrong. But I'm more talking about the comments. Like, it's weird. They're weird comments, man. And it's like,
well, I'm curious.
Trying
did
to
you
be
see the actual clip as well?
It's sad. It's weird. It's weird, dude.
Did you see the actual? Because I only saw the transcription online. I wonder what the tone of that was. If it was like a woe is me.
No, it wasn't woe is me.
The
it
big
was
bad
like,
media.
No, well, it was a little bit of that, but it was like, no, it was just it was just weird, man. It was just weird. That's the only way I can put it. It was just weird. I thought it was I didn't think it was a good look at all. And yeah, I just wanted to say that. I didn't like it. I thought it was silly. Like, also just a lie. Like, I don't think in my 5 years of covering this team I've ever seen 25 media or 20 media members ever. Well, and like I get there's some hyperbole. I get that. But like,
I think
this is not a tough media environment. It's not.
I agree. I think it's him potentially conflating the media environment and Canucks Twitter. Which Canucks Twitter is, let's be honest, compared to all like most other markets and fan bases, when your last head coaching experience was with the Arizona Coyotes.
Sure.
It is a way more pressure packed. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Rick Tocchet was just chronically online, the way we are on Canucks Twitter, and that's where his perception of the Vancouver market was stemmed. And I think that goes for the way Vancouver is discussed about as a market in general. Is people will say, oh, the big bad media, it's so tough to play in Vancouver. But I think what they really mean is that between the media and how intense Canucks Twitter is, that if you're online, you're going to feel the pressure. But I think the solution to that is just you shouldn't be on Canucks Twitter if you're a player or coach, in my opinion.
S. Little Boston said it was sarcasm. Did you see the video or just the transcript? I saw the video. I didn't maybe I'm
Well, okay, so
wrong.
that's why I wanted to ask. I
didn't-
wondered
I-
if he was just
no,
kind of like half
I-
jokingly
I
saying
did.
that.
I didn't pick. I didn't pick. up
Really?
on
Okay.
that. Like
I didn't see the I didn't
think
see
it
the
was-
video itself, so I
I
can't
didn't
speak
think it
on
was
that.
much sarcasm. And again, he's talking about some actual experiences that happened. I don't know, man. Whatever. I've spent enough time talking about this, and I don't really want to talk about it more.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get. Yeah, what else was there? I had something else. Oh yeah, the Michkov stuff. As I say, don't want to talk about talking anymore. Yeah, it was interesting because Toggett's getting a lot of heat in Philly, it seems, because Michkov's ice time's down. Talking about making him skate more north, and apparently there was an injury in the offseason, which obviously there's very, very funny comparisons that can be made with what happened with Elias Pettersson out here in Vancouver. With Michkov and Tocchet now.
Yeah, that's the one part where I don't like how he's handled Michkov at all. This was one of the complaints I had about Tocchet last year. Was like, I get wanting to play north-south, but to create offense in this league, you also got to be east-west. And when I wrote a piece unpacking the Canucks offensive woes and how much of it is on coaching, how much of it is on personnel, my main takeaway was I think it's mostly a lack of forward skill, but also one of the coaching elements that I don't philosophically like is how heavily Tocchet seems to be against east-west play. You need east-west play to be a
Yes.
dynamic offensive team in today's NHL. I'm sorry, but
Yes.
like, watch Nikita Kucherov in the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's a lot of east-west. And I get it. Guys like McDavid and McKinnon, they can attack going in straight lines. But please do not turn Matvei Michkov into a straight lines north-south player. There should be east-west level creativity. And the other thing is, it's also just still so hilarious to me that Noah Juleson is part of that everyday lineup. I think that's the other like, okay, so I'm gonna pull up this tweet by Jonathan Bailey, who writes about the Flyers at the Hockey News. He goes, wow, ... Michkov just went between his legs at the ozone blue line and passed to Noah Juleson, who just ... skidded away. That was bizarre to see in real time.
I saw that too. Did you send that to me? I remember seeing that, and I feel like that would be because you sent it to me.
Sorry, I'm having a just wrap it
Oh,
up.
oh, wow. Okay, we got a coughing fit going on. Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to get to.
Bet 365.
Yeah, anything else and anyone else? I don't think so.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, Mariners, baby. Mariners up 2-0. Jacob, your thoughts?
We don't have enough time to get into my thoughts. I have many.
Bet 365 bet of the day. Pittsburgh Penguins are taking on the Anaheim Ducks. They are underdogs tonight. Plus 120. You can get Penguins money line. That's what we're taking. That is our bet of the day over at Bet 365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet 365. Download the app and get it on the game. Use the code NATION at Bet 365. Must be 19 plus to play. If you choose to play, please play responsibly. All right, we'll wrap it up there. For my co-host Harmon Dial, our technical producer Jacob Bazar. My name is David Jolie. Thanks so much for this episode of Canucks Conversation. Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.